Here we go.
Yep, here we go.
Mercedes. I love Mercedes.
Yeah, well, 4 cylinders with an awful lot of power is the thing Mercedes does now. They used to do lots of engines with lots of power. They've decided to go the Volvo route. It's going to be 4 cylinders for everybody with crazy amounts of power, though.
This is only the C300. It's the 4MATIC, but it's only the C300. And you think, it's not the good one, the powerful one. You'd be wrong. Yeah. That's not true because it's 255 horsepower, but 295 pound-feet of torque. And you're right. I looked at the entire range because I really want the 63S version of this.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
It's the same engine.
It's the same engine.
With even 671 horsepower in the 63S out of a 2-liter 4-cylinder.
Yeah, Mercedes has lost their mind in the world of 4 cylinders.
I cannot get over that.
All of their hot rod guys have just decided, how crazy can we make a 4-cylinder that just fully blows up?
Great cars, great roads, and all the reasons we love to drive. Road trips, comparisons, test drives, and podcasts. This is Everyday Driver.
This also has the 48-volt starter generator mild hybrid thing. So that adds up to 148 pound-feet of additional torque.
And
now
20 horsepower and 148 pound-feet of additional.
So that means we get over 400 in a total torque number. Now it is a very
short periods of time.
It's not like you're going to always have 400. It's probably, it's giving and taking, because when the engine is down low, it's that little 4-cylinder, it doesn't have a ton of turbo power yet. That's when the hybrid is stepping in a lot.
Right.
As the turbo takes over, the hybrid steps away. So if you add things together, it's 400 and something torque. But the point is, powerful, quick, and this is the base.
Yes, I even drag raced a Tesla Model Y. She had me. EV, right?
Yeah, sure.
She totally had me.
Totally, yeah.
And then a corner came up.
Oh, well, that happened.
And I just smiled. Just waited for the corner to get to me. Totally took her on the corner because I've got the sports suspension.
Sure.
But before we get to that, I want to talk to you about the main reason that you should consider buying a C-Class. And it isn't because they've sold like 10.5 million of these since 1982.
Super successful, yeah.
It's because of the technology transfer from Formula One. And we've talked about racing being only for entertainment purposes. And it really kind of is. There's really very little actual technology transfer and actual results from racing down to something that you can buy for $58,355.
Don't they just do F1 in order to create Drive to Survive for Netflix? Isn't that the only reason they do F1?
Actually, you're right. That's
just the reason they do it. They just do it to make the Netflix show. Yeah, didn't you know that? Yeah.
But working in conjunction with the Mercedes-AMG Formula One team to develop the turbocharger for this car, which means it's brilliant. So it's maximum power and maximum efficiency.
Yes.
And the fact that I get F1 technology, because that's all I'm thinking about when I'm driving the car, is just I'm connected to F1 somehow when I own this car.
Didn't dawn on me once.
That's all I think about.
Okay,
just F1.
all right.
I'm connected somehow.
Okay, all right.
Me and F1, like
You and Lewis Hamilton are just your buds. You're going to dinner later. You text all the time.
No.
I get it. Yeah, because you bought a C-Class.
I'm connected to the racing series. Like I could be a driver. I could come in last. Dead last, right? I could come in last.
Yeah, okay.
The technology has transferred from racing all the way down to an actual car that normal humans can buy. And it's fast. Even at the C300 level, 255 horsepower doesn't sound like a lot. And then you get that mild hybrid system, and then you've got the torque, and you're a rocket ship, and you don't look like it.
Well, talking about transfer of things from higher levels, I keep thinking about the fact that I feel like more than ever before, this is the cheap S-Class.
It feels like it in here,
tried to model this very much like the big boy S-Class.
I need to be in sport.
With the way that the screen looks and the interior, and even the styling to some degree, looks more like the S-Class than I feel like the C has ever looked. The C has always looked related to the S-Class, but this looks like an S-Class that you shrunk. Like it's in the wash too long, kind of style.
I'm a fan of.
Yes, I agree. I think that is an excellent choice, but I feel like more than ever before, they are really aligning this with, hey, this feels like an S-Class, doesn't it? And it isn't.
Absolutely.
I mean, look, $58,000, look at it one of two ways. That's a lot.
I get F1 technology.
But you get F1 technology, and you get a cheaper version of the S-Class.
Yeah.
And honestly, if you're buying a 4-door, 4-seat, kind of base, let's get into semi-luxury sedans, you're spending 50 plus. I don't care who you're buying from. It's 50 plus. That's like the floor.
Which, you know what? At this level, I get in, I touch all the stuff, and I drive it, and I just think Mercedes. I just want a Mercedes-Benz. Even at the base level, I just want this car. It's so excellent all the way around. There's cars that cost more, do more, have more, all that stuff. But this generation has been around since 2014. The refresh was in 2022, so I really like the new styling. And this interior, as you said, this 11.9-inch screen feels like an S-Class in here, and there's more space.
Yep.
And I like being in here. The quality just speaks to me. The not frameless windows, actually. That door thunk is like so on point.
The doors. Oh.
It's just so well engineered, and it just every time I drive this, I'm constantly reminded, like, yes, we're the people who invented the car. Here's our latest. It's the base C-Class.
Have you noticed?
It's just the C-Class.
We've been doing cars for a while. Yeah.
We kind of know what we're doing.
Yeah, true.
We've got a little bit of tribal knowledge going on, so we pass that down from generation to generation. we know what we're doing, and I'm reminded of that. Now, this is not the sports sedan. This is not the flavor, but get this. There's the sedan, the coupe, and the cabriolet.
Yes.
There's 6 different configurations for this, 4 different for the coupe, and 5 for the cabriolet, which equates to 15 different configurations, not to mention 3 different trim levels for each.
My brain just hurts.
They're like, hey, those guys across town, look what they're doing with the 911.
Yeah, seriously. The number of variants available for the C-Class is nearly overwhelming, honestly.
This sport suspension comes with the AMG line, and you select it down here with your dynamic mode, and it's really great, and it transforms the car, even though it does feel vague to me. It doesn't feel like a sports car, but it's not supposed to. I'm not bothered that I'm kind of distant from it, because you're still buying a Mercedes-Benz. It's still a luxury vehicle.
You're still buying
a high-end kind of like, let's just cruise on our Mercedes here, right?
You're buying a C-Class with sports suspension. You're not buying a sports car.
Right.
The intention here is we're going for luxury first, a luxury feel. All of those things are primary, and the reason you buy this, you're not buying it for sporty handling. Frankly, in this spec, if you want to think about it this way, you're not even buying an M car from BMW. You're buying the base BMW here. This is not the sporting version. But what's interesting is you can feel the difference, though, when you step your way up through the dynamic settings, Sport and Sport Plus. It's not just things that change on the screen. You can feel the difference in the car.
You really can.
Now, also, Mercedes has put a lot of effort into their EVs right now. They're very excited about their whole EV line. Obviously, this is not an EV. It has the mild hybrid. But what I like is, here is a sedan, which everybody's leaving. Here has been their historical bestseller, but they could very easily just say, you know what, everybody's buying SUVs, so we're just going to worry about our SUVs. Here they've taken the C-Class, and they've made it feel like a little S, and they've made it good.
Now let's take a look at the styling. This was redesigned in 2022, as I mentioned, and Mercedes really uses the highlights instead of lines, instead of direct lines to really describe the surfaces or whatever the theme is they're going for. And that just keeps it sensual and beautiful and clean. Now, painted white, it doesn't look like much, but other colors, it brings out the design, and I think that will make it last longer. This cleaner, smoother, less fussy surfaces, but the surfaces themselves are very complex. You look down the body side, you sight down the hood, look at that trunk lid. It's really pretty, but it's subtle. It has to be. I mean, Mercedes are always going to be the subtle kind of thing.
The contrast to BMW styling right now is profound.
Yeah.
You may look at this and say it's boring and I love BMW, but I'm just saying, think about BMW styling and Mercedes styling right now, and it's literally like they're on other planets. And they're selling in the same area, which is fascinating.
Yeah. Now, the interior space is excellent up front. Up front.
Yeah.
Not so great back there.
It's not great. It's okay. It's okay.
Well, the problem is the footwell and my knees. I mean, the legs, and then, I'm hitting the seat, and then I can't get my feet out. I got to, break my ankles to get them underneath the seat. But then once you're in, you're thinking like, okay, I could go to dinner. Are we there yet?
Here's the thing. My wife is 5'6". My son is 5'7". That's right. He's surpassed her now.
I can't believe that.
He sat behind her, and we went on a family outing. And it actually took a little time. We drove in this car for about an hour or so. Everybody was happy. But again, Paul and I are both over 6 feet tall, so you're not putting 4 6-footers in this car. But depending upon the size of the people in your family, it might work okay. They were okay here for like an hour, but it's not, to your point, I mean, it's nobody's going behind you and I that's our size at all.
They will hate it.
Not happening at all. Notice, also, my son didn't sit behind me, he sat behind my wife.
Oh, really?
That's also
Of course.
Sure.
But
it looks nice. It's a nice place to be.
It's a gorgeous design. Like I said, the latest MBUX system, it even has shuffle puck, just like it did on the EQE 500. We could sit here and play shuffle puck, but you'll probably be bored.
I don't care. I really don't care. I don't need games. I know that this has happened because we're all supposed to be sitting somewhere charging.
Right.
But I cannot
You don't
believe
need
that we
to
now
do
have
this.
waiting games in our car.
Good news, the C-Class no longer feels cheapish. It doesn't feel like, well, would you not work hard enough? Like move up to middle management?
Some generations it felt like this has got a Mercedes badge on it, but it doesn't feel like I spent my money well. $58,000, again, not a small amount of money, but in this area, it's real easy. Look, a Genesis G70, the way you want that car is about $45,000, $50,000, and that's one of the cheapest in the class.
At least, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the way you want it.
Yeah.
And this is the base model. Now, of course, this doesn't reach as low as things like the Genesis or that kind of stuff, but at the same time, as far as content is concerned, I don't feel like I've been punished here by buying the base Mercedes.
It's a great way of putting it. Speaking of that, are you ready to drive some Formula One technology?
I was
can I
waiting.
help?
I said Mercedes. Stop.
You did.
Stop.
I'm sorry.
Stop.
Cancel?
What is your destination?
I stop. Cancel. Stop speaking. No. Thank you.
She's still
Please repeat.
she's still waiting. Cancel.
How can I be so stupid? You can't say the name of the car you're driving.
Yeah,
anymore,
no,
because
don't do
then
that.
it talks back. I'm sorry that happened. But it is it is a plague for this brand and others. They've had it with the inbuck system for a while. It really, really wants to respond because they assumed, they being the company that made this car that has the star, they assumed that nobody outside of, I guess, journalists
Located in
are
Stuttgart.
ever going to say the name of the car unless they want the car to do something. You and I do it because we're talking about the car.
Right.
So now I have to avoid speaking that way about the car.
Good luck with that.
I'm with you. There's a lot of things about this that are really awesome. There's a few things that surprise me that I don't like.
Oh, no kidding.
Now, one of them is something I've mentioned before in Mercedes, and that is they got a lot of haptics going on the steering wheel.
They bothered
I'm
you,
not a
but
fan.
I'm
Doesn't bother
ambivalent.
you. I understand, but I mean, we got like a slidey haptic thing for volume. We've got a lot of little haptic stuff on various little spokes. I don't like haptics. I don't like piano black haptic stuff. It annoys me.
Give
That
me
is
the
a personal
buttons.
thing. Yeah, seriously, I want a button. Nothing wrong with a button. I want that. So
There's
anyway,
not. There's
that
not.
that is something that annoys me. Also, I think the drive modes in this are very interesting.
okay.
Overall, very good. Now, look, if you go into Sport or Sport Plus is where we are now, it is very good. I was surprised at how genuinely lazy it is in comfort mode. Every time I've turned in this car in comfort mode, I realize a third or halfway in the corner, I didn't turn in enough. I turned in what felt like enough, and the car's like delaying. Are we really? Are you sure we're turning? And then I'm turning in more, and then I'm turning in a little more. That seemed to go away when I stiffened up the suspension, went into Sport or Sport Plus. But in like normal comfort mode, I found myself always making more effort in corners than I anticipated for what I was given, like visual information about this is what the corner will need. No, it needs more than that.
But were you comfortable?
The seats were fine. I do like the seats. I do like the interaction here with the HVAC system and everything, even though everything's in the screen. I think they have still done it well. I am a guy that I prefer having HVAC controls somewhere other than a touchscray.
Sure, but
They've
these
done
never
it well.
disappear.
They never
They're
disappear.
Always
They're always
available.
there, which
Yeah.
is key. If they're going to be part of the screen, they've got to always be there, and that's very nice. I do wish that they were buttons and knobs, because I like buttons and knobs. Apparently, I am a boomer in that regard. I'm not in any other way, but apparently I'm a boomer in that regard because I like buttons and knobs. Anyway, there is one other thing that I observed with this car that, by and large, look, I think it's very impressive. In fact, look, I'm in Sport Plus mode, and we're about to enter a freeway, so that can be done with a little bit of abandon.
That was qualifying. This is race. Here we go.
Genuinely impressive.
Sounds great. That's speed right there.
This feels, I mean, look, this is a 4,000-pound car, and it does not feel like it.
Not at all.
It really doesn't. This feels like low 3,000 pounds, like 3,200, 3,400.
Agreed.
And it's a
Yes.
4,000-pound vehicle.
Which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, it shouldn't weigh that much. It does, and then
It does.
thankfully doesn't feel like it.
It's
so that's
the
good news.
4MATIC, it's the all-wheel drive system,
It's
so it
everything
adds
that's going
weight.
on here, the hybrid system,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. The one surprise I had, and again, I drove this for about an hour on a family errand, and this has the acoustic glass, which is an option to add to this. And I was driving along realizing I was hearing more of the other cars around me that I'm used to. Now, maybe that's because this car is quiet, because you notice back there when I got on the freeway, you could hear the engine, but generally, you can't hear the engine at all.
You're also a Lotus
thing.
Elise owner.
I am a Lotus Elise owner.
You're used to, like...
I'm used to lots of in-cabin noise.
Is that a screw in the rear?
Used to, yes.
Unthreading itself?
Didn't hear that before. I am used to lots of cabin noise, but I will say that I heard, like, passing big trucks and that kind of stuff much more clearly than I'm ever used to hearing it in any other car. And maybe that's because it's quiet in here, but with acoustic glass and with the otherwise luxury feel, I was surprised at how much I was audio-wise aware of the other stuff around me. When I guess here's what happened. I think I, perception-wise, expected to go by in silence because there is so much muffling going on.
Sure.
So when I was hearing something, I was very aware. And that surprised me because this is a car that is going after a quiet, luxurious experience.
Sure.
I am being picky. I'm being very picky here, I admit. But those are the two things that surprised me. The kind of lazy steering, if you're not in the right mode, and the surprising amount of noise that invades the cabin were two things that, based on the rest of the experience with this car, I did not expect. I want to come back to, this is an excellent car. I think it's an excellent car for the money. I think it's very easy to start spending money above this in Mercedes and start to wonder where your money went.
Except for the 671 horsepower out of a 2-liter 4. Well, it's actually not quite that. It's like 460, almost 470, 200 horsepower electric motor attached. I mean, can you imagine?
It's craziness.
671 horsepower in this. We're talking almost Hellcat levels of power in a car that weighs 1,000 pounds less.
Yeah, it's craziness.
500, 800 pounds
and
less.
is smaller, and
is
all
smaller
of these
and more
things,
nimble, and
is
built
now
by
using a
Mercedes.
4-cylinder. I mean,
That's really exciting.
Mercedes is doing nuclear bomb kind of thinking with 4 cylinders, and I'm a little bit concerned.
What's our theme here, team?
Yes,
What's
absolutely.
our theme for this new redesign?
Everybody put on your radiation suits. We're going nuclear. This is one of those things, and the Germans are doing this a lot right now. BMW loves to do this, where I don't care what the numbers say. This feels more powerful than the numbers.
Absolutely it does.
And
you think they sandbag too, like BMW?
I don't know, but this wafts forward with power.
It does.
You never, and thinking about what we all know a little turbo 4.2 feel like, that doesn't relate here. It doesn't relate at all.
No, but the benefits that you get are efficiency.
Yes.
And that's why you should choose one of these.
Sure.
The racing connection. The pinnacle of racing on the planet.
Okay, yes.
And the C-Class.
And you can wind up with the better part of 30 miles to the gallon on this. Now, not the way you and I are going to drive it, but in a normal person, they could get the better part of 30 miles to the gallon.
To have this kind of power, that kind of efficiency, and a Mercedes, you're driving a Mercedes-Benz.
Yep.
That's fantastic. Yes, you pay for it.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And of course, this has got, all digital gauge cluster in front of me. Oh, you did it again.
I did it again. Sorry.
Don't do that again.
I take
Never
it back.
mind. Stop.
Cancel. I'm sorry. I take it back. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you're sorry. I'm sorry and you're sorry.
Everyone's apologizing here in the C-Class. You've been forgiven. She forgave you, Paul.
Fantastic.
Apple CarPlay is active.
Yes.
You can use the telephone
We know that.
connected device via CarPlay.
We're having a conversation with the car. You
So here's my question. Are we better off that it does this? Are we better
She
off?
almost answered you.
I mean, seriously. Is this necessary? I'm going to say no. I'm going to stand on no.
You mean this car necessary?
No, I'm saying the ability to speak to the vehicle, is that necessary?
Well, we
what
had
was
a
wrong?
Chevy Citation from the 80s.
What was wrong with buttons and knobs when we're speaking to the vehicle? We're trying. Here's the thing that just happened. You just watched it live. We tried to reason with the car. Am I in charge or not? Did I buy the car or not? We're now reasoning with the vehicle.
Just wait till the next generation,
Seriously,
my friend.
I'm terrified now. Anyway, and all of that.
But for now,
that is not a C-Class thing that has existed in this brand of car for some time. So you're right. So I don't have any reason to reason with the car. That's not necessary in my shopping experience.
But at least it's entertaining.
I guess. This will do, of course, lane keep assist, which is, simple, smart cruise control. It does
But
fine.
see,
It
that
doesn't
kind of
do
stuff
anything.
I don't need.
I know,
I will
but-
take the haptics, and
I
you
know.
can have your lane assist.
See, I don't.
thank you.
I don't like it either, but it is something you have to understand that Mercedes is actually one of the people leading the charge. Tesla gets the press, but Mercedes is one of the people leading the charge with their ability to have smart cruise control. This works fine. It's not a standout, but it works fine. I did use it some. It does that kind of, little bit of rubber banding as it first reads the corner, but it does fine. And this is a very impressive car. I have my little niggles about it, but by and large, honestly, the price would have felt like a lot 10 years ago, but right now I'm like, no, it's just competitive.
This feels competitive and reasonable. Do you think Mercedes is leading the charge in EVs?
I
Is
don't.
that what they're leading the charge?
I don't, but thanks for the gag. That's a good
It's
laugh.
funny.
I like it. Yeah, it is. And these are the jokes, people.